Hello again. Hope you're having a fantastic day. I'm going to continue talking about psychometric science and now the NF quadrant and its relation to roles in hierarchies. NF in psychometric terms refers to people that have intuitive feeling preferences. That is, a preference for seeing the world in terms of the abstract possibilities of people and relationships. These people can be very idealistic, and that can translate into their perspectives on how groups of people should work in the workplace, in the church, in your community, um, and in government. And so, it shouldn't come as any surprise that there's a very specific NF relation to hierarchy. The three self-concept words coined by Kiersey for NFs are empathetic, authentic, and benevolent. Benevolent meaning of good intention, of goodwill, always seeing the best in others. As a result, NFs have a strong tendency to see the best not just in people, but in groups of others, and see hierarchies as an opportunity for the very best of humanity to be expressed. That is, the idea that government's an opportunity for good things to happen, the idea that having a committee is an opportunity for good things to happen. It is from these people we gain the idea, I think, of servant leadership, which is a modern coined term that can't be directly found in Scripture, but nonetheless is popular. I'm not taking a stance on that topic as much as I'm saying it comes directly from an NF idea of how leadership ought to work. Because of that benevolence, they tend to see hierarchies as a beneficial force, like parents or the church, and tend to feel, trusting toward it, there are exceptions. But they will find a hierarchy that they're willing to see in exclusively positive terms and be loyal to it. So that, in general, NFs in relation to hierarchy naturally find themselves wanting to be beta towards it. Beta in these terms means submissive, cooperative, following rules. Now, that's submissive to the group, submissive to the idea that the hierarchy has your best interest in mind, that its creedology, whether self-justifying or not, is for the good of people. There is a definite awareness of hierarchy and a desire to fit into it. As an NT artist, I've been often very impressed by the creativity of NF artists, but there is always a point at which they're reminding me that there is some hierarchy I ought to be connecting with or surrendering to, or, allowing some control over my choices. When you have NF alphas based on this belief system, it is when someone has so thoroughly embodied the values of the hierarchy that they naturally become someone others want as a representative, like in a union or a guild, um, or, perhaps like a matriarchy, that is the oldest reigning female who in theory is in sync with all the other values of the other people in that culture, believes identical things, and now is just the silver-haired mouthpiece of what people are wanting from their hierarchy. Now, this does have complications as it leads to, in fact, a third kind of role that I think is really, really strongly present inside NFs, and sadly overrepresented among NF males. This perspective on how authority should work that places the group over the individual to such a great extent. Now, I know authenticity is a major NF value, but the idea is that you can be yourself, and these wonderful people love you anyway. As long as you don't cross the values of this group, then, those things are not in error with each other. But it does mean there's very little individual agency, very little individual self-governance. That once you placed yourself in the control of the hierarchy, that it will begin to push your choices. You have to begin to believe that they have your best interest in mind no matter what, because like all self-justifying cretological hierarchies, it will unravel if you're willing to unravel it. I believe that because that sense that there is a potential for unbelievably low individual self-governance, that it is where the omega is born. The omega within society has the lowest possible social rank, the lowest possible sense of individual value to offer in terms of social value, reproductive value, economic value. They perceive themselves, and you perceive them as having no social power, no self-esteem, and no agency. They will begrudgingly follow anyone other than someone they perceive to be an enemy. This is, of course, sadly, the birth of the tragic idea of an incel. An incel is an omega who has chosen to voice all of these things about the societal hierarchy they dislike. Now, because of being an NF who is a natural component of the hierarchy, they in some ways accept that they're in it. They accept that they're in the hierarchy matrix, and they don't see themselves as capable of walking out of it. There is an old saying that's said in many ways that you can take the man out of the jail, you can't take the jail out of the man. Or you could say jungle, you could say the street, whatever the thing is, but there is a component of us in relation to anything we feel that enslaves us, where you can remove the external, but the internal remains. Those that say, I hate my life, I hate my situation, in part are saying, I have no control over my life, no control of my situation, and in part saying, I can't imagine a world without the hierarchy. Even the benevolent NF hierarchy that places them in such low regard. That will see them as a victim, that will see them as a charity case, that will see them as someone who is in need of help. So, NFs, generally, beta has been in the most idealistic sense. Occasionally alphas in terms of a sort of super beta, and sadly, frequently omegas. Thank you. If I have encouraged you or blessed you in any fashion, please like and subscribe.